Good morning, Boston. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 6:05 here on AM 680 WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2. 617-266-6868 is the number. A lot to talk about today. This is a story that should be very disconcerting to parents, to children, to students, really to people everywhere. It is going viral. And it doesn't just touch on the phenomenon of school bullying, which is a very serious problem now, but the way parents increasingly are handling it. And it's not a good way. And it shows the growing sickness and corruption of our culture, driven by this cult of celebrity and this celebrity culture. Now, let me set it up for you. It's gone viral. This story has gone viral. This video and audio that we're going to be playing is going to go viral and has gone viral. This takes place in Minnesota. Apparently, there is a little girl. She is, I believe, 7 years of age or 8 years of age, whatever. She's a third grader. And she's been bullied at school. Repeatedly, she's being bullied at school. We can't release the name of the girl, obviously, for confidentiality reasons, but, well, okay, I guess. But anyway, I don't want to say the name. The mother already put her story online, but anyway, let that go. So, the parents were complaining to the principal since last December. And according now to multiple media reports, this third grade girl went to the principal's office apparently half a dozen times. And she says that she was being called names. She was being called Mother Blank. She was being called, I'm reading now, like, quote unquote, she was being called a lesbian. Apparently, they said that you're going to die by suicide. They called me a son of a bleep, a mother blanker. So apparently this girl has been emotionally, psychologically bullied and accosted going back months. It got so bad that apparently now a couple of the boys on the playground at school were hitting her. She came home with scratches and bruises. Now, before I tell you what the mother did, let me ask all of you this. Okay, you're at home or you're in your car, you're getting ready to go to work, you're getting ready, the kids, the little bambinos, you're getting the kids ready to go to school. If this was your child, boy or girl, okay, whatever, they're 7 years old, okay, 7, 8 years old, and your child's being bullied at school, and your child's being called names, and your child's clearly being harassed, and now it's escalated to the point where they're kind of roughing up your child now. Now your little one is coming, your little Jimmy or Jenny is coming home with scratches and bruises. How would you handle it? In all honesty, how would you handle it? Just ask yourself this question. My child is being bullied. What would you do? Now, let me tell you what I told Cooksey I would do.
Not what the mother did.
Yeah, not what the mother did. I'll get to the mother in a second. But just to show you what's happening, the change in our culture, and how the change in parenting, and how some people are now dealing with this, with bullying. I said to Cooksey right away, immediately I would contact the school. I would demand that I meet the principal, like the next day, immediately. I would bring my daughter or my son, my Ashton or my Ava in. I'd say, what the hell's going on here? Now, what I want is, I want to know the name of this person that is bullying my son, bullying my daughter, harassing my son, harassing my daughter. And then I want a meeting the next day, 3 o'clock after school, in your office with that boy, with his parents, both of them there. And I want this thing resolved. Because if you won't resolve it, then either I'm going to have to go the legal route, or I'm going to have to talk to that boy personally one-on-one. That's the way I would handle it. Now, isn't that the way you would handle it? You go to the principal, you go to the superintendent, you go to the parents if you have to, you sit down, you have a meeting, and you say, look, get this thing resolved, don't force me to go legal, or don't have me start confronting the child one-on-one. Am I missing something here, Cooks? Is this the way you would handle it? If this was Noah, how would you handle it?
That exact way.
The exact same way, correct?
Yeah, you have to get involved. You have to either go to the school or go to the superintendent or the school committee. It's simple. You call work. You say, look, I'm going to be an hour late. I got to drop my kid off at school and take care of something. You walk into the school and you go up to the teacher and you say, my kid said he's being bullied. I want to know who the kid is, and I want to meet the parents tomorrow, 3 p.m. here. And if not tomorrow, by the end of the week. If it's the school bus driver, very simple. You wait at the school bus with the kid, and you get on the bus. And you do the same thing to the school bus driver. But now, what the mother did,
So, what the mother did,
I think is kind of shocking.
But this is the wave of the future. This is why this story is resonating with so many people. It's why it's going viral, okay? So, this is how I would handle it. This is how I would, and how Cooksey would handle it. I think most of the people in the audience would go, sounds good to me. That's the way I would handle it. All right? Maybe even the old school ones, like my dad, they would just go, forget the principal, forget the teacher. They would go straight to the kid. I know that's how my dad would handle it. Just confront them on the school bus and say, don't you ever touch my son or daughter again, or you're going to be in big trouble, okay? In other words, it would get resolved. It may take a few days, but it would get resolved. The mother, this one, her name is Sarah Cymbaluk, or Cymbaluk, Cymbaluk. Okay, you can check this out. Instead of doing that, she puts a camera in front of her daughter, this third grader, and she's egging her on to almost give like a taped confession. Please tell the world, tell me, how are you being bullied? Who's bullying you? Please talk about it. And this little girl is like, Mommy, I really don't want to talk about it. And I certainly don't want to talk about it on camera. She then posts the video, I swear to you, online. It's on Facebook. It's on social media. It's on Instagram. It's everywhere. And now she's turned her daughter, I kid you not, into a wannabe celebrity. Her daughter is now into a viral superstar. She's now turned her daughter, 7-year-old girl, she's now turned her daughter into a viral superstar as she tells the whole world how she's being bullied at school. Here is the audio. Roll it, Cooks.
Tell me what happened today on the bus on the way home.
I don't want to. I'll tell.
That's the younger brother.
I'll tell Mommy.
Okay. Well, stand by her and tell us what happened then, Benny. Because you were on the bus, too. Get in close to her so you can be in there, too.
So
it's like she's directing the shot.
It's like she's like a director. What is she, like Martin Scorsese? Oh, really? Steven Spielberg? It's incredible. So that's the younger brother. I think he's like 6 or 5. Okay? So he's even younger. So he's on the bus with her. So he's witnessing how his sister is being bullied. So now this is the first thing I find is like, well, she doesn't want to be on camera. Like, she obviously is uncomfortable. She doesn't want to do this. No. Get the brother in, on camera, right between the lens. Perfect. There. Yes. Okay. Action. Roll it, Cooks.
Well, this guy named Landon, well, the bus driver, when my sister right here, when she first got on, the bus driver said, you sit your ass down.
Bus driver says, sit your ass down.
All right. So, yeah, can we say that word there?
Wow.
Okay, all right.
So, in the front seat, and then at the end, this bully that always bullies us, he came up in the front, right behind Caitlin. He bullies this other girl that's a high schooler, and he said that she is a lesbian, the girl that he bullies, and so and this guy named Jerome on the playground, he said, you're gonna die by suicide. They called me a son of a bitch and a motherfucker.
All right, so, this bully is calling the girl, a lesbian, an SOB, mother blanker. So obviously, okay, he's a jerk. The kid's a jerk. The kid's an absolute jerk. So the girl is crying as the brother is describing all this on camera. On camera. And, Cooks, do we have any more, or is this it?
And how does that make you feel?
Sad.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
I feel like crap.
Yeah.
Same as me.
Does it make you feel like they don't believe you? Yeah.
We talked to... I'm going to talk to Mom.
Okay, put your head down, Bees.
We talked to a sheriff, and he said an $100 bus driver would never do that.
Mm.
And my sister thinks that he's drinking wine while driving.
Did you tell your principal that?
No.
Mm.
And we talked to him for about 30 minutes, the principal, one day, and nothing happened.
What did he say you should do?
And nothing happened. That's just freaking bullcrap.
Don't talk like that, buddy.
So the children, first of all, they're making some allegation about the bus driver. Apparently the bus driver's been drinking wine. That's what they claim. Maybe he's a couple sheets to the wind. But anyway, let that go, okay? So now the little brother, what is he, 5'6", with the sister, 7-year-old, the third grader. So we went to the principal. We spoke to the principal for 30 minutes. And she's like, yeah? Well, what did he say? And did he say anything? What did he say? And all I'm thinking is, you're turning your daughter into a joke, into a spectacle. She obviously doesn't want to be on camera. Why don't you go to the principal? Why don't you talk to the principal? Why don't you talk to the teacher? Why don't you confront the bully? Why don't you get this thing resolved? It's your child, for God's sakes. Instead, oh, what did the principal say? I mean, first of all, look, principals have a lot on their plate. They got problems up the wazoo. Okay, they got so many things to deal with. I mean, we're talking about a third grader. What is the brother? Maybe a first grader. Kids say things all the time. These are kids. I don't even know how accurate what they're saying is about 30 minutes with the principal. Suddenly now they can set their watch to 30 minutes. In other words, it's up to the parents. You're the adult. But it's on a deeper level. Look at how self-absorbed this woman is. What's her first instinct? Is it to resolve the problem? Is it to hold people accountable, hold the principal accountable, hold the bully accountable, hold the bully's parents accountable? No. It's about putting her daughter on YouTube. It's about putting her daughter on Facebook. It's about turning her daughter into a viral superstar, into like a mini celebrity. Because if she cries on camera, then everybody can see how she feels and her suffering. And we have to show compassion and tolerance and respect for diversity. What is going to happen to this kid, this young girl, when she grows up older and she goes to junior high, high school? This thing is going to be on YouTube and social media forever. This thing is going to haunt her forever. Her peers are going to be making fun of her and mocking her forever.
It's almost like a form of Munchausen syndrome, where the parent wants people to feel sorry for her, so she puts it out there for everyone to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, you're not even teaching your kid how to resolve an issue. I mean, you should be the role model, the parent who walks into the school with the kid and shows this is how adults handle issues. We don't air all of our dirty laundry. We handle it like adults.
Like adults. You know, self-reliance, personal responsibility. Notice, it's this culture.
I guarantee you this, Jeff. that mother and daughter will be on the Today Show within the next 6 weeks.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
That's what they want.
Exactly. You nailed it. You took the words right out of my mouth. They're going to be, watch, you're going to see her on every morning talk show. Oh, they're going to have an interview. Anderson Cooper, the silver-haired guy, by the time they're done. Yeah. And when he called you a lesbian, that must have really, are you a lesbian? Do you have like lesbian you must have lesbian sympathies. It's okay to be a lesbian. You want to come out of the closet at 7 years of age? This is what it's leading to. And look at this culture of whining. Somehow, everybody whines. Everybody whines, everybody complains. And everybody is an attention seeker. The mother's an attention seeker, and they want to turn the kids into attention seekers. My question to you is this. If this was your child, how would you handle this? And would you have done a video, filmed a video of your 7-year-old child, and would you have posted it online? In your view, did the mother do the right thing? 617-266-6868. Tom, you're up next on WRKO. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for your program. I just want to share a couple of things with you. I have, over the last 6 years, have custody of 2 boys, and I'm in my 60s with my wife and I. And a couple of times, the youngest is very tall and very big for his age. And accusations come out quite often from school that he's bullying the other children. So I went in and brought him in and had the principal bring him in and spoke to him in the principal's office. But it's the analogy of boys will be boys. The other boy bent his finger or somebody pushed him or whatever, but they throw the word around so frequently, it's like boys will be boys. And, you know, it gets so upsetting when you get the whole story of what has happened. Now, the other thing on your program, I noticed in listening to the girls speak, one of the things that I've always been against, and I think because of economic times, you find that busing now is along with high school children. And I'll tell you, the youngest one, who's 8 years old, his vocabulary that I'm constantly speaking to him, constantly these words come out, these swear words that I don't know where he's heard them because we don't speak like that. And I think you're influenced by older peers on the bus. And you could hear that other little child, the way he was talking as well.
What a potty mouth. Oh, Tom, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. So, no, but you're completely right. But notice her reaction. I agree with you, Tom. A lot of stuff. Look, bullying has gone on. This is what I find ridiculous. We've had bullying literally since the Stone Ages. Since they were human, since Adam and Eve, since they were human beings, people have bullied each other.
The snake bullied Adam and Eve.
Yeah, the snake bullied Adam and Eve. Well, first Adam first Eve and then Adam. Okay, but let that go. So this has been going on now since time immemorial. This idea that somehow bullying is new. It's not new. It's how we're handling it. We're turning it, A, into a national crisis, and B, look at this. My daughter's so pitiful. Pity her. Put her on camera. What can she do? Are you kidding me? Go visit the principal, pick up the phone, talk to the principal, talk to the parents, get this thing resolved. Instead, it's almost like feel sorry for me. Daughter victim, mother victim, family victim, everybody a victim. Ellen, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome to WRKO.
Good morning. So I chimed in on half the conversation, and I got a lot out of it. I don't agree with her not manning up, going up there as a parent, and rectifying the situation. There were numerous events that occurred from what I gathered through the conversation. And your question was, do you think that she should be posting it? Absolutely not. I mean, that's absurd. You said it. That's going to haunt the child. I'm appalled at the way she was speaking with the child, the words coming out of the child's mouth. I mean, the profanity was just, adult profanity, and he shouldn't be saying it at that age, and he's obviously hearing it somewhere. I'm heartbroken. I have middle school high school and elementary school going on in my life, and I'm just, I mean, you got to take the bull by the horns. Yeah, the principal has a lot to contend with, and it should be, there are other people in the school that it can be. She can go to the school psychologist. She can go to one of the, therapists out of there. Somehow someone's going to be able to rectify it. But to go to your child and post it, and you're right, she will be on in the next 6 weeks, and it's in Goober.
I agree with you, Ellen. I think you're completely right. This is going to be the Today Show. They're going to do all the rounds. Oh, they're going to do everything. Anderson Cooper is going to be on it. The guy that normally is very good at this sort of stuff is that puffed up British windbag. They fired him, Piers Morgan. Oh, for this stuff, he's perfect for this. Tell me, how do you feel? Did they say the word gun? Did anyone ever threaten you with a gun? Did they turn a Pop-Tart into a gun? That was his forte. Chris, you're up next. You're on WRKO. Welcome, sir.
Absolutely bloody disgusting, Jeff. Hello, Jeff. You all right, mate?
Well, Chris, I thought you were making fun of my English accent. No, you really are calling from England.
No, don't worry about that. Whenever I watch American television or on YouTube, they always make, Americans normally always make fun of us, but it's okay, mate. It's all right. You don't have to worry about that. No,
so, Chris, you are calling us from England.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'm listening over the internet.
Okay, and you're saying it's bloody disgusting. Why?
Yes, well, because this is going to do more bad than good. Okay, this girl's going to have serious problems when she grows up, and you are right. She's going to end up on like Dr. Phil, isn't she? And she's going to get scrutinised by all these people. And I would be surprised when she's older. She's going to have major problems, psychological problems and issues.
Well, I mean, Chris, can't you see it? Like, she's in school, in high school or whatever. And thank you for that call, Chris. Oh, let's just call her Sarah. Oh, look at Sarah. Look at Sarah crying. Oh, they bullied her. Oh, they called her a lesbian. Oh, they called her a mother blanker. Oh, they called her an SOB. This mother is turning her child into a mockery. You call this resolving a situation? But you see, my friends, this is the point, okay? It's easy to blame the mother. Everybody's doing it now. Have you noticed? If you're not on Facebook, if you're not a YouTube sensation, you haven't lived. Suddenly now it's become, literally, it's part of growing up. You have to be on YouTube at least once. You have to have your 15 minutes of fame. Eric, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Go ahead, Eric.
Good morning, Jeff. The school system is a train wreck. My daughter was getting bullied, harassed, threatened, so on and so forth, in real time by adults in the town of Plymouth. And she no longer goes to school. I had such a psychological effect on her. And I did the right thing by bringing attention to what was going on in my child's life. And she was explaining in her own words what was going on, and she was being victimized. This is true. And she had actually got a harassment order on an adult that was harassing her and while she was going to school, at her school.
Oh, my God.
And this is Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Now, Eric, if you don't mind me asking, what did you do? How did you resolve this?
There was never any resolution. The principal, what he said to me when I had a discussion with him, I said to him, I have my best interests of my children, my daughter here. She's being harmed significantly. She wants to get out of your school. She needs someone that she can speak to, that she can trust. And he goes, I have the best interest. I go, excuse me, she's being harmed. And this has been going on for quite some time. You have 5 other students.
Eric, buddy, can you call back? You're breaking up on us. We're losing your connection. But basically what you're saying is you complained, from what I understand, you complained, you told the principal, and they pretty much didn't do anything. If this was your child, would you have posted it online? Do you blame the mother for what she did? Do you agree with the mother? 6:30 here on the great WRKO. More with your calls next. Let's take it to Angela in the newsroom. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 638 here on the great WRKO, 617-266-6868. Story is going viral, national, very quickly. It's coming out of Minnesota. A mother has a third-grade daughter, I think she's about 7 or 8 years old, and a younger son. They're out of Minnesota, they're on a school bus, and apparently the daughter is being repeatedly bullied, verbally, emotionally bullied by several kids on the bus. And so the daughter and the son went to the principal apparently once or twice. They complained. They didn't get the results that they wanted. And so the mother, Sarah Cymbaluk, I guess that's how you pronounce her last name, then filmed her daughter crying about the bullying. In fact, egged her on to talk about the bullying in front of a camera, and then posted it on YouTube and on Facebook and on social media everywhere. And so, to get attention for her daughter, to force the school superintendent to act, she basically has her daughter cry on camera and say how horrible her bullying experience has been. Now, call me crazy, but what about just seeing the principal as a parent and getting this thing resolved, instead of turning your daughter into a wannabe viral superstar? And the tremendous psychological damage that's going to come from this now and down the road when she becomes a mockery to fellow students when she's older, when she's 10, 11, 12 years of age. And if this was your daughter, let me ask all of you this, or your son, and they were complaining about bullying, would you film them and then post an online video to sort of garner attention, to get attention to your son or daughter's problem? 617-266-6868 is the number. I wouldn't. On many levels, I wouldn't. Least of all, I don't want to humiliate my own kid.
Get the ball, girl.
Eric, you're up next. We got cut off, so start your story again, Eric. You're coming in loud and clear. So you had a daughter. Was it a daughter or a son?
My daughter.
It was a daughter in Plymouth, correct, in Massachusetts?
Yes.
Okay, so Plymouth, Mass. She's being bullied. Take it from there, Eric.
Yes, there's a history of this. Adults were involved in this. They were emotionally forcing her to do things against her will. She was going to school at the junior high school, Jeff, and they were the adults that she soon got a restraining order on, harassment order on, was in real time harassing her at her school. And they sent her daughter's friends after my daughter, saying that they were going to beat her up, stomp on her face, and what have you. That was 2.5 years ago. She has since not been able to go to school. She has some serious psychological issues that should have been met back 2.5 years ago. DCF was involved, the police, and so on and so forth. Jeff, hello?
Yeah, I'm listening to everywhere what you're saying. Eric, if you let me ask you, at the time, what grade was your daughter in?
7th.
7th grade. Okay, so she's beyond junior high. Okay, keep going.
And she's trying to settle and sort things out herself, and I'm as her dad, bringing forth, things that I hear from her in dribs and drabs, as well as her friends, and then I see it, and I take it to the school to sort things out, and I'm told by the vice principal that she had heard that my daughter was getting threatened by students that were part of the adults pushing these children to abuse my daughter. I have this, Jeff, in email accounts from the vice principal, as well as a whole bunch of other elements surrounding this issue. It's been going on for quite some time, and you can probably tell the anxiety in my voice. It's very, very traumatic, and my daughter has been in harm's way, and she just wanted to live her life without being subject to ridicule and being bullied, really threatened in real serious manners.
Eric, let me ask you this, couple of questions. When you went, I assume you went to see the principal, correct?
Yes.
When you confronted the principal and said, look, this is not a safe learning environment for my daughter. She's being harassed. She's being intimidated. She's being insulted. She's being bullied. She's being traumatized. You take care of it, or I will have to get a lawyer and go the legal route. What did they say when you said that?
He was insensitive. He said that he has the best interest of my daughter, and I explained to him that you're not doing anything here. My daughter is bringing attention to me, and her friends are. They've been to the police. They've been to DCF, who has botched this situation to the limit. Now, DCF is actually, on another note, has retaliated upon my daughter, and they say that she's dramatic and manipulative. That's the word that they used last summer. So that's a fallback position, DCF and Plymouth. And I have all the names, Jeff. It's horrible. I don't wish this upon anybody. And the children, they're putting them through this chaos, this drama, and it doesn't need to be there. You need to stop it right at the bud.
Eric, I hear you. I agree with you. Let me ask you this, though. I got to ask you the obvious follow-up question.
Right.
You're the father. You're the man of the house.
Correct.
When the school wouldn't come in and protect your daughter, did you confront the people who were bullying your daughter? Did you stand up to them and say, listen, you continue with this, you're going to be in a world of trouble? Did you confront the actual bulliers?
I went to the court with my daughter, yes. And she obtained a harassment order on these
bullies.
Adults.
Okay.
But it didn't go far enough. It did not. Now that was 2 years ago, Jeff, and now my daughter has 3 therapists, and I'm outside the loop of my family, protecting them in their best interests. I'm made out to be this something that I'm not. There's no there as there wasn't anything there back then, a couple of years ago. Let me just say this: the mother of my children and the family that I married into have They have a long-standing relationship with the police, and I'm going to stand up. I have court cases coming up. They've changed jurisdictions. They're not going to. This dad, they're not going to push me over. They're not going to do this to my children or anyone else's child, for that matter.
Have you taken your daughter out of that school?
Yes, I did take her out of that school, but it only lasted so long. She had a breakdown, and then she went back to
She went back to the school
again. Excuse me?
She went back to the school, Eric?
No. She was. It took a while. See, her mother had the family I married into have a long-standing relationship with the police. They're entrenched in the town of Plymouth. They've lived there for over 100 years. For myself, it's a battle to try to get any resolution for people to do what is necessary.
Eric, your circumstances are unique, and I don't know the full circumstances. Obviously, we've just been talking for the last couple of minutes. I'm just telling you, so I don't know about your wife and her family. If this is my daughter, step one, I go to the principal. And I say, you're going to get a lawsuit if you don't resolve this. Step two, if the principal won't do anything, I'm going to go straight to the bullies and tell them to lay off. If that doesn't work, then I'm taking my child out of that school. I'm not leaving my child in that abusive, hostile environment. I mean, Eric, this thing to me would be resolved in a week.
You would think
100 years in Plymouth, not 100 years in Plymouth, police officers in the family, police officers not in the family. To me, within 7 to 10 days, if my daughter's coming home crying, saying that they're being intimidated, she's being bullied, she's being harassed, this thing is being resolved. I'm just telling you right now, Eric.
I understand that. And just opposed to the Justina Pelletier case, I picture myself going in there and rescuing their daughter if I was Lou Pelletier, Jeff. But the restraints that are put on him and the restraint that he imposed on himself from doing what was necessary, it's very hard to comprehend.
I know. Listen, Eric, I hear you. Look, I hear you getting bullied on the bus. Much older kids. And because we had these jerks on our bus as well. And so my father, I'll never forget this, he waited. He took a couple hours off of work. Well, a few times he ever took a couple hours off of work. And he was just there, waiting at the bus stop beside me. And I boarded the bus. He didn't say anything to me. I didn't know what he was going to do. I sat down, he walked up to me and said, show me the guys that are bugging you. Show me the boys that are harassing you. So I pointed them out. There was two in the back. They were like, I was in the 2nd grade, they were in the 6th grade or something like that. And he walked right up to them. I'll never forget this. And he put his finger right on the tip of their nose. And you could see the anger coming out of my father's face. And my father said, he turned to me, pointed to me, he said, that's my son. If you ever lay a finger on him again, touch one hair on, I'll never forget this expression, touch one hair on his head. He goes, you're going to see me again. And when you see me again, you're never going to want to see me. He goes, I'm warning you right now. And he got angrier and angrier. You could tell he was they were petrified. They thought my dad was going to kill him or something. And then he turned to the bus driver and he said, I'm telling you and I'm warning you. You better make sure nobody harasses my boy, because you don't want to see me again. And he walked off the bus. And he was old school. He's from Europe. Central Eastern Europe. When he spoke, people knew he meant it. I never had another problem on that bus again. You do that today, my dad would be facing multiple lawsuits. The bullies would be, they were traumatized, psychologically disturbed for the rest of their life. The bus driver would be saying he was threatened, he was intimidated. He'd probably be on some kind of disability insurance because he can't go to work anymore because somehow he's been so traumatized because my father confronted him on the bus. So I understand the restrictions, but still, you're the father, you're the parent. And that's the question I have with this kid and the mother. Where's the father? How come the old man doesn't say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to the principal. I'm going to go to the teacher. I'm going to resolve this. Instead, the father's okay with turning his daughter into a joke and seriously into a punchline on YouTube. 617-266-6868 is the number. Sly, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Sly.
Wow, I disagree, man. I think you're taking a lot of liberties here. I think you're assuming things. I think you're speculating. We don't have a lot of information here. All we have is just what's this clip here, and it kind of reminds me. I don't know. I think we have a responsibility to reserve judgment a little bit. I mean, you're really. I think you're actually kind of bullying right now. I think you're trying to make a villain out of this woman, and I don't think it was all that bad. And you're speculating. You don't know what she has done or what she's gonna do. I think there's a lot more here, and I think you jump into conclusions. It reminds me of the story a couple of months ago, and me and you went back and forth about this. About the girl that got kicked off the volleyball team because she went and picked up a kid at a party, an alcohol drinking party, and she was supposedly there just to pick up the kid, and then she got in trouble for being at the party. And you heard that information, and you were behind this girl 100%. You couldn't even talk to you about it because you were like livid. You wanted to have the school burned down and the principal crucified and all kinds of stuff. And then we found out later on that the whole thing was a fraud and a lie. I think you and your callers that are jumping all over this woman just need to calm down a little bit and reserve judgment.
Well, Sly, I mean, look.
Irresponsible, man. I think it's irresponsible. I don't like this kind of radio, man. I'll be honest with you. I don't like it.
Yeah, well, I know, but look, Sly, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if this was my child, how about just do the video and show it to the principal, if you want to do the video. But to do a video of your child, and we've heard the video. She doesn't want to do it. The third grade daughter doesn't want to do it. The 7-year-old daughter doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to speak. So the younger brother is speaking on her behalf. So you're coaxing the daughter to do something she doesn't want to do, and then your solution is to post it online for the whole world to see? This is how you resolve a situation? You know, we're not talking about a he said, she said. I mean, her actions speak louder than words.
I can understand where Sly is coming from, but I think the overall point is, like you said, you can videotape her, but you don't have to make a mockery out of it or put it online so that every radio station, television stations are all talking about your daughter being bullied. They've got her picture all over the place. It's just...
Yeah, her picture.
It's part of the culture of Big Brother. You know, it's like I said to you all the time. We don't have to worry about the government spying on us. We are Big Brother. We videotape each other constantly.
I mean, this is private. This is intimate.
The age of insanity.
I mean, this is intimate. Look, this is humiliating to the girl. If what she's saying is true, it's like you were bullied. Do you want the whole world to see how you were bullied when you were 7 years old? And how you're crying and how you were hurt by it and humiliated by it? And CNN is all over this now. This is all over the Minnesota press. Minnesota's jumping all over this. CNN, Fox News is now jumping on the story. This is your daughter, for God's sakes. Mike, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Mike.
Boy, the last call you had. It's prima facie evidence right there. There's the video. I mean, you can't make anything up about it. It's not like you can misinterpret anything. But anyway, my problem with it is it just encourages more. Putting things like this. Oh, that's what bullies want. They want a reaction. So it's always been I was tough. Nobody could bully me when I was a little kid because I was so independent. It's like, I don't care what you say about me. It doesn't bother me because I know it's not true. That's what you need to take. You have to draw a line between physical abuse. That's something, absolutely. Go to the police, go to the principal, get that resolved right away. But when it comes to words and emotional stuff, the worst thing you can do is cry in front of the bullies. You got to teach your kids to stand up for themselves.
Oh, Mike, I'm with you 110%. I mean, those boys were beating the hell out of me. They were like much older. But I mean, throughout my whole, do you know how many names I've been called throughout my life? I mean, this is this thing.
Crazy Croatian.
Cooksy calls me names all day, nonstop, every day. So technically, if I'm supposed to be verbally abused, I mean, I should, listen, I'm candidate number 1 for verbal Auschwitz.
Oh, I was doing a number on you yesterday because of your fear of ticks.
There you go.
What did I say? I said to you, that's because you're Croatian. That's why your country keeps getting taken over by other countries. You're just born with being afraid of everything, whereas me, an American, we took on the greatest army ever.
See, that's what I don't get.
And you're afraid of a tiny little bug.
See, that's just because my parents came from Croatia. Why is this suddenly my country? Like, why do you always do this to me? It's like somehow portraying me as a foreigner, like always below the belt like that. Rob, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Go.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Rob.
Listen, Jeff, I have a beautiful 13-year-old girl, athlete, A student, wakes up singing, goes to bed singing, gets off the bus singing. A few months ago, we noticed a complete change in her behavior, failing all her classes. We couldn't figure out what was going on. So I made an appointment with the principal and all of her teachers, figuring there was something academic. When I went in to meet with the principal, I see my daughter in the office filling out a report, and when I asked her what she was doing, she kind of blew me off and said, I'll talk to you later. Come to find out, 2 of her friends dragged her in the office and made her fill out a bullying report. So I find out, after I pull this out of her because she didn't want to tell me, that this little boy that had asked her to go to the 8th grade dance, which she refused because she was going to her, but she was nice about it, she was going with her friends, he started bullying her like 2.5 months, 3 months ago. In the most vile way that you can imagine, I can't even say on the air. He was doing it in school in front of kids, and he was in every one of her classes. He was doing it online. When she told me what happened, Jeff, I started shaking, and I flipped. I immediately started searching for the parents, found out where the parents lived, and I knew what the parents did for a living, so forth and so on. The next morning, she went into school. She walked up to the kid in the class in front of everybody, and she looked him right in the eye, pointed in his face. She said, my father's psycho. He knows where you live, and he's coming to visit you. I picked up the phone and I called the principal. I said, you better get to the parents before I do. I finally got the parents on the phone. The mother was an immigration attorney. She kind of blew it off and said, well, our kids have a relationship. I said, what kind of relationship? He asked her today, and she said no. And she says, well, I found some bullying things online and he posted, so I took his computer away. I said, you didn't think to reach out to me. I got in touch with the father, who happened to be a police officer in another town, called his boss, told him, get him to contact me. The guy did. Nice guy. Was very sympathetic. He said to me, if my son looks at your daughter again, you call me, he said, and I'll snap him in half.
Nice. Nice. Ronnie, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Shoot, Ronnie.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. With all due respect, this story is not about bullying at all. This is about what Andy Warhol said 30, 40 years ago, that in the future, everybody's going to be famous for 15 minutes, and there's no amount of self-humiliation and flagellation that they won't endure for that 15 minutes of fame. That's what's going on here, and that's what started the second, that woman put that video on the internet. That's what's going on here. This isn't about bullying. And look at even, I don't mean to sound callous, but, callers hear this and they're instantly conditioned to do the same thing. Publicly go on and on about how their kid's being bullied. We're just like conditioned to do this. And for all this talk about how we shouldn't bully and judge, all the most popular shows in America are people being judged and bullied by people. American Idol, The X Factor, America's Biggest Loser, Hell's Kitchen, The Voice, So You Think You Can Dance. I mean, that's all it is, people being bullied and judged. It's just such a huge media hypocrisy.
That's a very, very good point, Ronnie. Comrade John, go.
Wunderbar. Jeff, your father's still alive, correct?
My father, yes.
Yes, because you sent him to the White House. Over there.
News at the top and bottom, talk in between.
Well, I don't view us as the Republican base. I view us as American citizens.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.
Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, Hour 2, 7:06 here on the great WRKO, and now on 93.7 HD2. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text us at 680-680. This is a stunning story. And if you want further confirmation that Massachusetts is becoming a Democratic mafia state, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, how there is now, by the Democrats that control the state legislature and control the regime, a growing assault on democracy itself and all of the safeguards and procedures. You don't need to look further than the stunning vote yesterday on the minimum wage. And I got to tell you, my friends, when I first heard this story yesterday, I was absolutely livid and outraged. Because it just doesn't end. They are so drunk with power up on Bacon Hill that now they don't even have the pretenses of democracy anymore. It's a liberal dictatorship. And how the press is not humiliated by this? How the so-called bien pensant, the good-thinking liberals, the elite liberals of this state, how they're not humiliated by this? How the so-called enlightened progressives at Harvard, how they're not humiliated by this is beyond me. So here is what happened. As you know, there is a huge debate raging, not only across the country, but here in the People's Republic of Massachusetts, that we have to raise the minimum wage. The Democrats want to raise it from $8 an hour to at least $10.50 an hour. This is what the Democrats in the House want, led by House Speaker Porky Pig Bob DeLeo. So Porky Pig wants $10.50 an hour. The Senate Democrats in the Senate want it to be $11 an hour. For me, at this point, if you're just going to keep arbitrarily raising the minimum wage, why stop at 11? I'd go, what the hell, $25 an hour. But let that go, okay? Since we're not tethered to economic reality, why not just go to 20 or 25 or even $30 an hour? But again, I digress. So, This is a hugely consequential bill. Everybody would agree on this. Even the dear leader, even Obama, even Senator Elizabeth Warren, chief spreading bull, even Markula. I want to suck your blood. I want to take your money. Everybody would agree at the congressional level, at the federal level, at the state level, raising the minimum wage. That's why there's been such a heated, passionate debate over the last couple months, is a major issue. We're not talking about whether there should be a tree planted on Boylston Street, okay? It's a major issue. Could we at least agree on that? Yesterday at 2:15 p.m., the State House passed the increase to raise the minimum wage from $8 an hour to $10.50 an hour. The Senate is now going to have to vote on their proposal. Now, many of you are going to be saying to me, Jeff, what's the problem here? So the State House, state legislature passed the bill to raise the minimum wage. They didn't do it through a roll call. They didn't do it through an ordinary vote. You know, everybody stands up, yay, nay, yes, no, you're for it, you're against it, no. Because then you see people would be held accountable. Then you could actually pin your state representative down and say, did you vote for the increase in the minimum wage or did you vote against the increase in the minimum wage? Because, for example, if it is, as most economists predict it is, a job killer, if it undermines economic growth, if it drives away businesses, then no one wants to be held accountable if there's a massive, dramatic economic fallout. So what did the arrogant thugs up on Beacon Hill do? They passed it, I swear to you, God is my witness, on a voice vote. In other words, it's something we inherited from Britain. Okay, it's a British parliamentary procedure. We have it, Canada has it, Australia has it. Usually it's done to keep things moving on very small, sort of house cleaning bills. So you need to constantly vote, have the whole legislature vote on every bill. The really small bills to go, look, let's just get this stuff moving. Let's just keep, let's not let the clutter pile up here. Keep the stuff moving along. You have a voice vote. So they say, okay, A, nay, okay, the ayes have it, I get it. Okay, passes. On a voice vote, you don't know who said A, you don't know who said nay. You don't know who said yes, you don't know who said no. Just by voice vote. They passed it on a voice vote. You don't know if your representative voted for it or against it. And those thugs, those liberal fascist thugs up on Beacon Hill, their argument is, well, we have the votes. We have the votes. We don't need to actually have a roll call. It's called a roll call. We don't actually need to have a roll call where people just stand up and be counted and vote. We have the votes. Well, if you have the votes, pass anything. Why don't you, on a voice vote, just pass a tax increase on a voice vote. Pass more welfare benefits on a voice vote. Hell, why don't you set up detention camps and throw us all into detention camps on a voice vote? What the hell? I mean, why bother voting and being counted and being held accountable and responsible for your own vote? This is an abuse of every parliamentary procedure, every democratic safeguard, and in particular, my friends, it tramples on the rights of the minority. So you, the people who are opposed to a bill, at least will have a chance to be spoken, at least will have a chance to be heard, and at least will force your elected legislators, your elected representatives, to be held accountable and responsible for their vote. So you know where they stood. So you can then either reward them or punish them at the next election. I swear to you, Putin's Duma, that's what they call the parliament in Russia, the Duma. Putin's Duma doesn't pass bills on a voice vote. When they raise the minimum wage in Mother Russia, even under that, whatever you call it, communist, fascist dictatorship, even under Putin's dictatorship, the members of the Duma actually vote. So you know, did Gregory Valentin, did he vote for it, did he vote against it? Did Andrei Sakharov vote for or against it? Here, in that cesspool of corruption, with Porky Pig Bob DeLeo, they just passed it along a voice vote. And I gotta say this, enough is enough. Because the reason why the Democrats are getting away with this is there is no opposition up on Bacon Hill from the Republican leadership. And until there is a real opposition party on Beacon Hill, until there is a real Republican House Minority Leader who's going to stand up to Bob DeLeo, stand up to the Democrats, stand up to Mini-Me, they're going to keep running roughshod all over us and destroying our democracy in the process. And I'll tell you who I blame after Mini-Me and after Bob DeLeo. It's House Minority Leader Brad Jones. Boehner Brad. Lay down and love me again, Brad. I've seen, I swear to you, I've seen useless in my lifetime. But this guy, whoa, this guy, he was there. When they came up with this proposal for a voice vote, who do you think was there? Boehner Brad. Did all Boehner Brad Jones had to do? He's the supposed leader of the House Republicans, the State House Republicans, is stand up and say, I want a roll call. That's it. I want a roll. You have the votes? Fine. You have the votes. I want a roll call. I want everybody to stand and be counted for or against. Where do you stand on raising the minimum wage? And what did Brad Jones do? Nothing. This guy's even worse than Boehner. Boehner at least pretends to oppose Obama. This guy doesn't even pretend to oppose Mini-Me or Porky Pig Bob DeLeo. The guy's absolutely useless. In fact, he's worse than useless. Because there are good people up on Beacon Hill. Shauna O'Connell. State Representative Jeff Deal. Jim Lyons, Mark Lombardo, Leah Cole. There are these bold reformers who are willing to challenge the liberal regime and wage a frontal assault. And you know who's holding them back? You know who's stabbing them in the back at every turn? Brad Jones. Here, I'll give you another example. It's not just on the minimum wage he's laid down and love me, Brad. Mark Lombardo, State Representative Mark Lombardo and State Representative Jim Lyons, to their credit, have been trying to get the state legislature to vote on a bill regarding Justina Pelletier. Now, as you know, she has been essentially kidnapped by DCF, by the Department of Children and Families. She's slowly dying. She's slowly being tortured because she's not being given the medical treatment that she needs and she deserves. Her parents have been begging for her to come back, begging for them to release Justina Pelletier so she can come back and be home where she rightfully belongs with her mother and with her father, Lou and Linda Pelletier. And by the way, not this Saturday, next Saturday, we're going to be holding a major rally at the state capitol between 2 to 4 p.m. But let that go. They have a very simple bill. Okay? Mark Lombardo, Jim Lyons. They want people to vote on this bill in response to what's happened, in reaction to what happened to Justina Pelletier. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, if you, the parent, mother or father, have two conflicting diagnoses, as what happened with Justina Pelletier, on a medical issue regarding your child, You as the parent have the right to decide which diagnosis you will go with. And DCF does not have the right to take your child away from you simply because you disagree with their medical diagnosis. Because ultimately, you're the parent. Now, call me crazy. It's a perfectly sensible, rational piece of legislation that reasserts parental authority when it comes to medical issues regarding one's child. Republican State Rep Mark Lombardo, Republican State Rep Jim Lyons, along with all these other reformers I've mentioned, are simply trying to get the legislature to vote on this issue. Because if it goes to the floor for a vote, who's going to vote against it? It will humiliate the Democrats, and if they vote against it, it will expose their thuggishness and their arrogance of power. But there's one man who won't allow the vote to go to the floor. The same man who stabbed the Republicans in the back, Mr. Judas himself, lay down and love me, Brad Jones. So who's blocking them on Justina Pelletier? Brad Jones. Who's blocking them on having a roll call vote and at least fighting the minimum wage? Brad Jones. Who at every step of the way has been blocking Sean O'Connell from having effective EBT and welfare reform? Brad Jones. My friends, with friends like him, who needs enemies? This man, I'm going to say this now because it needs to be said, is, I believe, in the back pocket of the Democrats. I believe he is House Speaker Bob DeLeo's greatest asset in the State House, because he is deliberately dividing and undermining the opposition to this liberal regime. And he's doing it from within. With him, it's the kiss of Judas every time. He is the single biggest obstacle to a bold, revitalized, aggressive opposition party in this state. And it's time that he go. We can't take back this state until we have a Republican Party that's willing to fight. And Brad Jones, instead of willing to fight, all he wants to do is lay down and love me again. Should the minimum wage have been passed along a voice vote? Is this another assault on democracy? And is it a good idea to raise the minimum wage? I want to hear from you, Boston. 617-266-6868. Is it time for Brad Jones to go? All of your calls next. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report. 617-266-6868 is the number. 725 here on the great WRKO. Greg, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Cojones.
Hey, Greg.
I don't think the idiots up there on Bacon Hill realize that the union workers are prorated to get it's a 30% increase from the 8 to 11, okay? So if a union worker is making $30 an hour, they're going to get a $10 an hour raise. Can you imagine that?
That's incredible.
And Henry Ford years ago said, I don't need Washington, D.C. to tell me what to pay my best workers. That's a fact.
It's none of the government's business. You run your business. They don't have a right to tell you how much you should or shouldn't be paying your workers. It's not their business. It's your business. This is going to decimate jobs. We're already so far under Mini-Me's reign. Okay, look it up. Don't take my word for it. Total private sector jobs created under Mini-Me's tenure, 0. Yes, a lot of people have been put on the state bureaucracy. But in terms of private sector job growth, 0. None. This is going to put us now into a deficit. Do you know what it is to hire people at $10.50 or $11 an hour at a floor? That's the minimum you have to pay them? So what do you think a lot of companies are going to do? They're just either not going to hire or they're going to go automated. So whatever little job growth we have is going to go kaput. But at least, for God's sakes, I'm not even talking about the economics or the substance of the issue. At least have a roll call. At least have a vote. A real vote, not some dinky voice vote. At least stand up and be counted. And the role of the opposition, call me crazy, is to oppose. The role of the opposition is to hold the party in power accountable. What the hell has House Minority Leader Brad Jones been doing? All he knows how to do is cut deals with Bob DeLeo and Mini-Me. My friends, I'm telling you, you want to take this state back? We have to take back the state Republican Party. And target number one has to be Brad Jones. This guy is worse than useless. He's a Judas. And so, all of you out there, it's up to you, but here's what I would do. Give him a call. I'll give you his number. Give him a call and ask him, how come he's not holding the Democrats accountable? Why won't he challenge them on welfare reform? Why wouldn't he call for a roll call on raising the minimum wage? Why won't he support Mark Lombardo's bill on Justina Pelletier? Okay, here's the number. 617-722-2100. 617-722-2100. That's the number of Brad Jones's office. And if he had any honor and any integrity, he'd resign. Let's get Sean O'Connell or whoever, I don't care, get somebody in there that's willing to take the liberal regime head on. I don't need a lay down and love me again kind of a guy. Believe me, we've got too many of them in this state. Craig, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Craig.
I tend to be an optimist here. I'm thinking that a lot of the stuff might be getting pushed through because they may think that they see a Governor Baker in the future and he would veto such a bill.
Well, if I was Charlie Baker, I would run against the minimum wage bill, but he won't. He said he supports it in theory. I don't know where he's been on Justina Pelletier. You want to talk about a lock. You want to talk about having a winning issue in the palm of your hand. So I don't know where he is on that. I don't know where he's been on DCF. I'll tell you what's going on, Greg. He's being advised by Democrats. And so they're basically telling him, Charlie, you gotta be moderate, Charlie. You gotta be bipartisan, Charlie. You can't ruffle any feathers, Charlie. He really wants to win? Give Holly Robichaud a call. I tell him, get on the phone with the Boston Herald columnist, Holly Robichaud. She's also a political strategist. Have her advise your campaign. You'll be the next governor. But Charlie, if you want to win, you gotta have what the Spanish call cojones. Where are your cojones, Charlie? Neil, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Neil.
Hey, not only in addition to automation and put on top of that Obamacare, right? But think of that worker, let's say working at McDonald's that's working, let's say 32 hours at $8 an hour or whatever the minimum wage is. Now it goes up to 10 or 11. They're going to get their hours cut to 20. And guess what? For those 20 hours, they're going to be paying more money in state and federal income tax. So they're going to make less money than they were previously making. So it's just going to exacerbate the problem.
Neil, you're right, yes. But here's the other thing that's going to happen. What do you think is going to happen at McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or wherever? They're going to go automated. They're going to say, why should I bother paying somebody $11 an hour? I can basically go automated, get some computers, and then they'll basically take more of the orders. And what does that mean? Less jobs.
Actually, Jeff, McDonald's is rolling out some of those automated, you push the buttons and it just drops the cheeseburger out of a machine. They're already going that way.
They're already going that route. Well, this is going to drive them even more. So, great job, guys. You have just shafted us of more jobs. 617-266-6868. Should we raise the minimum wage? And is it time to finally get rid of Brad Jones as the House Republican leader? I want to hear from you, Boston. All of your calls next. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 7:38 here on the great WRKO. You can also text us at 680-680, 617-266-6868. This is a great text from 617 and pretty much sums up the whole minimum wage debate. Jeff, how about Walmart? I work 32 hours at $8.50 an hour, and we're all spread thin. They'll reduce us to 25 or 26 hours. Checkout lines will get longer, and the aisles will be a mess. 617, they don't care. That's the dirty little secret. The liberals in this state, the Democrats who run this state, and their cronies in the media, they don't care. Because they want to feel good about themselves. It's all about compassion and tolerance and diversity. But they don't care about the consequences. They don't think beyond point A. So as long as they feel good, because they feel, oh, well, we've raised the minimum wage to $10.50 or $11 an hour. Look at us. We're for the working man. And they pat themselves on the chest or pat themselves on the back and beat their chest. The fact that you've been reduced in your hours, or maybe even have lost your job, the fact that businesses won't hire, the fact that it's actually killing working people, going to slow down services, longer lines, they don't care. And ultimately, you know what they really want? They won't admit it, but it's true. They don't want you working. They want you on welfare. They want you to, or unemployment insurance. They don't want you to be independent. Because if you work for a living, you see, you're free of them. You're not their servant. They can't control you. But if they control you through welfare or through government entitlements and government benefits, then they own you. And then you vote for them. And then they own you lock, stock, and barrel. That's what's driving this whole thing. Look, Western Europe has some of the highest minimum wage laws in the world. Why do you think they have 20, 25, 30% unemployment? It's been an absolute economic disaster. Here, don't even look at Europe. Compare Texas to Massachusetts. No state income tax, much lower minimum wage. Look at where all the jobs are. It's not here. They're in Texas. You don't like that? Look at North Dakota. You don't like that? Look at South Carolina. You don't like that? Look at Utah. Every other state in the union, which either has no state income tax or much lower minimum wage laws, their employment situation is infinitely better. But they don't control you. And that's what the Democrats and the liberals are all about. Control. 617-266-6868. The fact that you're poor, they couldn't care less. Gary, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Go, Gary.
68. The fact that you're poor.
Gary, you got to turn down your radio. Gary, I can hear myself in the background. Hello, Gary.
Okay.
Hey, Gary. Hi, Gary.
Yeah.
Okay, go, my friend. You're on the air.
Oh. Hey, we're going to have that KKK meeting soon.
Okay, bye, Gary. 617. You know, it's the same shtick every week, just a different name. KKK. Now, look, here. This is what the liberals and progressives have been reduced to in this state. You support the Constitution and individual freedom and liberty. The free enterprise system, which has been the greatest generator of wealth and jobs in the world. That to them is the Klan. KKK. KKK. That's their only response to any argument you make. KKK. That's how intellectually and morally bankrupt they are. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Steve, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Go ahead, Steve.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Steve.
Jeff, I work for a company, and we hire a lot of the homeless. The people that work for us are predominant. I'd say a good 60% of them are homeless. We pick them up and we put them to work, and we pay them minimum wage. This will literally put us out of business. I will not have a job if this goes to $11 an hour. I will be out of a job. So. For all these people up there, but it might be a good thing, Jeff. My health is not as great as it should be. It could be. And so, maybe I'll get to go out and work on some campaigns. Maybe I'll start a write-in campaign for Shauna O'Connor for governor, because it doesn't seem like Charlie Baker's doing anything for me. But this is literally, it's going to put at least 23 people out of work.
Wow.
If this goes through. And there's no way. We're just getting by now with the 3 full-time employees that we have in the 20 18 to 20 or so part-time people. So this will literally put us out of business. We can't afford to do that. There's no way my boss can afford to do this. So, I'll be out of work, and I'm at an age now where I probably won't be able to go back to work with the stuff that's wrong with me. I don't know if I'd be able. So I would be forced to go on disability, which I've been fighting for at least 4 years to not to do. So, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe I'll get to meet some people on the campaign trail, and maybe I'll run for something, because I know I don't have to be in perfect health physically, but mentally I could go out there and run for something. I'll become a state rep or something.
Steve, I'll tell you right now. You want to be head of DCF?
No.
No, you can do better. I'm serious. Anybody there, you can do infinitely better. Steve, I'll tell you what. If anybody, if it's Charlie Baker, we get Sean O'Connell, I'll put in a good word. I said, I got a guy, Steve. He called the show. Let him be the head of DCF. You can't do any worse. Trust me, Steve. Steve.
Yes, I know I could do a better job. I know I could, because I run things. I've been in charge of every job I've ever been on.
Steve, $137,000 a year. What does that sound to you, my friend? Pretty good?
It sounds great. Even city council, I went for city council.
Steve, you got to work.
Committee too, and that's $85,000 a year. I can live on that.
Steve, trust me. Let the Kuhner man take care of you. You got to work as city council. Listen, DCF, that's where it is, my friend.
What are you, crazy? I know a couple of city councilmen. They don't do nothing. They go in once a week for 2 hours, Jeff. I know these guys personally. I grew up with one of them. They don't do nothing, Jeff. Let me tell you something. They go in for the city council meeting 12 o'clock every Wednesday. I watch it on TV all the time. Listen, these people are so underworked and overpaid, it's ridiculous, Jeff.
Steve, I got to admit, you got me on that one. Because if you're head of DCF, you got to put in 3 days a week, buddy.
Well, I can do that from home, though, right, Jeff?
Yes, you can telecommute.
Because I want to relocate to the Cape. Well, I guess I'd be a real hack, because that's where they all live anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
They're all on the Cape. I never see them, but they're always there.
That's what I'm saying, Steve. $137,000, great health benefits, dental benefits, 4 weeks vacation, plus all the personal days, the holidays. Basically, you work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Look, I know kids are going to die. But hey, blame the system. It's a tragedy. Just say when a kid dies, just say it's a tragedy. And that's it. And then ask for and Steve, stick around for about a year or two. Maybe learn a bit of Spanish. That could help a little bit, tell you the truth. They'll feel sorry for you if you speak a little Spanish. And then you ask for a $10,000, $15,000 raise. Steve, you'll be at $150 in no time. Who can beat that? Joining us now to talk about the Justina Pelletier case and other issues up on Beacon Hill, I call it Bacon Hill, is none other than State Representative Jim Lyons. He's one of the good guys up there fighting the good fight. Representative Lyons, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report.
Jeff, thank you very much for having me.
Representative Lyons, so my understanding is that you, State Representative Mark Lombardo, and a couple of others have been doing everything possible to try to free Justina Pelletier. And apparently your biggest obstacle and roadblock have been the Democrats up on Beacon Hill. What are they doing, and why do they not want Justina Pelletier released from DCF custody so she can go home and be with her family?
The one thing that they're doing is trying to frame the argument that this is a separation of powers issue, that the judge has basically made a ruling, and that until the appeals have been all satisfied, that we don't have any right or obligation to interfere with that judicial system, which, in my opinion, is incorrect. There were 3 lawyers took to the House floor last week and made the legal argument that if we interfere with this particular decision, then we're overstepping our bounds. Now, it seems to me when we see an absolute wrong that is taking place, and people are getting hurt, injured, and in this case, completely trying to destroy a family, as a legislator, we have an obligation to act. And that's what we did. We filed legislation that would have done 3 things. Number 1, it would have demanded that the Department of Children and Family tell us how much money they're spending since they took Justina Pelletier away from their family. Number 2, we asked them to spend no further money until we got that report, so then we could decide whether or not they were spending their money correctly. And finally, during that period of time that they were doing their research, we wanted to reunite Justina with her family to make sure that the proper medical and emotional care was given to her. And the Democrats blocked it and aggressively blocked it last week in the House. And their argument is basically that we shouldn't interfere with the legal process. I mean, if the legal process fails, everyone knows what they did with the upskirt situation when the Supreme Court came down with that decision. You know, within 24 hours, they had gone back and changed the legislation. Well, this is a wrong. This family is being harmed in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and we should and must take action.
We are talking with State Representative Jim Lyons, fighting the good fight up on Beacon Hill. Representative Lyons, in your opinion, why do you think the Democrats are circling the wagons and defending DCF and Deval Patrick? Why will they not do exactly what you say, which is step in and end the carnage and destruction being wreaked on this family?
It's consistent with the way things happen on Beacon Hill when you have one-party rule. I mean, if they were to have come out and gone against the governor, I mean, they would be breaking the bond that they have with Governor Patrick. And this is the problem that Massachusetts has with this one-party rule and the domination of the Democrats for a generation, is that they will never admit that there is a mistake. They just do not want to do it, and they use all kinds of mechanisms to protect, you know, the status quo. And where would we go next? The Attorney General? Well, guess what? She's not going to do anything either. She's another one of the establishment figures who's part of the problem. And that's what I believe it is that there's never an admission by these folks that there's a wrong being done. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and yet they they refuse to take action. We sent a letter to the representative of the House Oversight Committee back several months ago demanding that this get investigated, and we sent them another letter demanding that they focus in on the DCF since February of 2013. The chairman sent us a letter back saying send a request directly to the governor. Well, we did. We sent it to the governor, and we sent it to Olga Roger. Completely ignored us. And the reason is because they know, when I say they, the Democratic establishment and the leadership and the governor know that the legislature isn't going to take any action. And that's a real problem. When you have a state where you have one-party rule, these things happen, and then nobody can do anything about it because of the hierarchy and the power brokers on Beacon Hill.
Representative Lyons, yesterday I got multiple emails from people up on Beacon Hill. Apparently, the minimum wage was passed in the State House from $8 an hour to $10.50 an hour on a voice vote. They didn't even have a roll call. They didn't even bother to stand up, vote, and be counted. I mean, is this becoming almost like a semi-dictatorship here in the People's Republic of Massachusetts?
I raised the issue prior to the when we went into session, and my question was, what's the rush? You know, why should we care that the Democrats have completely messed up the process on trying to get a vote on the minimum wage? In other words, at the beginning of the year, the Senate passed the bill, the House passed the bill, so there was procedure that needed to be followed. And the argument is that as an opposition party, we could have opposed that. We could have opposed the minimum wage on procedural grounds and tried to at least prevent it from being put back into the conference committee, but we didn't. I cannot, for the life of me, understand why things like that go through. I've been listening to you, and one of the things you're missing about Jones that you didn't talk about was something that happened last August, which was there's a thing called the can, an informal session. All of the bills before an informal session of the House are in this can, and up until last August, any member of the legislature could go down, take a look at the bill, find out what was coming forward, and put a stop on it or talk about it or at least know about it. And last August, the Speaker came out with a new edict saying that no members of the rank and file could look at the can. So I happened to go into the legislature that the House a couple of days later with Representative Lombardo, and we asked to see what bills were being heard that day in an informal session. And we were denied access to the can, access to the bills. I couldn't.
Hold on, Jim. Sorry, Representative Line. This is unbelievable. So hold on. You're telling the audience of Kuhner Country that you, an elected representative, were denied access to the bills that in the future were going to be voted on, at least access to viewing them and seeing them.
I was incredulous, and I asked at that point it was one of the leaders of the House. I said, "Are you telling me I can't see the bills that are before the House today?" And they said, "No, you can't. I mean, there's a new rule, and you can't see them." So I turned around, and the minority leader was standing behind me, and I said, "Well,
that's Brad Jones."
Correct. I said, "Why don't you join us, Mr. Jones? And this is outrageous, and let's stand up for the 40,000 people each of us represent in our district." And he refused, which was his right. Later on that day, he basically attacked me for standing up for my rights as a legislator, which I found absolutely incredible. It was one thing if he didn't want to join us, but the fact that he attacked me and then went out to the media and said, and I quote, that it's a privilege that the Speaker allows us to see those bills. I couldn't believe it.
It's a privilege.
A privilege that we get to see the bills that are being debated in an informal session. I mean, that said it all to me. I said, you gotta be kidding me.
That's the leader of the Republican Party in the state legislature?
Last August. And then he, the public went public and said that, that we were basically trying to disrupt the process in the House and had no right to do what we did. And
you guys are the problem now, of course. You and Shauna O'Connell and Mark Lombardo and Jeff Deal and you're actually opposing the Democrats. Jim, how can you oppose the Democrats, for God's sakes?
And then they put through a $4 billion temporary budget on a voice vote in an informal session, and the minority leadership just let it go through. I mean, you've been talking about opposition and the type of things that we need to do as a party in a state, and it is obvious as someone who's been in there 4 years now. I'm finishing my fourth year. That we need an opposition party that's prepared to fight, prepared to take on the Democrats, prepared to promote our agenda. We don't do that. We don't do that. Everything is wait to see what the Democrats do, and then maybe sometimes fight them, maybe, and then if not, we just kind of try to make the process, make sure the trains run on time. I mean, it has to stop. I mean, every single person that's knocking on the door in Massachusetts for a Republican, every donor in Massachusetts who's giving money to a Republican candidate has to recognize that on Beacon Hill, within the caucus and within the legislative establishment of what's taking place, we don't fight. We don't fight. And I mean, I've got instances after instances after instances where the minority leader has decided that we're the problem. And,
hold on. Brad Jones has told you guys that you, the true Republicans, you guys are the problem.
Well, when we go down and we ask for an open and transparent process in informal session, and the minority leader stands up and sides with the Democrats, if that's not an indication that we're the problem, I don't know what is. When we complained that a $4 billion temporary state budget was passed in an informal session, and when we complained, we were decried as interfering with the process. I mean, the health care benefits that we tried to get, how much money was being spent on health care back in 2011. We've gotten a bill passed in the House of Representatives that went over to the Senate. And the minority leader assured me, personally, that we would get a vote on it. When he came over to the House in the morning that we were supposed to get a vote, he told me that we were going to get a vote on it. An hour and a half later, he called me and said, I've decided that I have to go along with the Democrats on this. Incredible as it was that he changed his mind. That's when we had to go in and at that point shut down the House to get the information from the from the governor.
That's incredible.
I mean, it really is. The opposition party has to oppose, has to provide alternatives, has to stand and fight, and we're not doing that. We are not doing that as a party.
Representative Lyons, I got 20 seconds. I got to ask you this final question. As a Republican member of the state legislature, is it time for Brad Jones to go as minority leader?
I voted against him this year. I was the only one of last January when he was elected. Yes, in my opinion, we have to change the leadership within the Republican Party. If we're ever going to make any changes on Beacon Hill and in Massachusetts, it is time to have Republicans who understand that our job is to go in there and protect the taxpayers and to fight as an opposition party and be unafraid to stand for the values that we stand for. And when we have leadership that want to bend and go along with the priorities of the Democrats, we're going to be nothing but a failure.
We have been talking with State Representative Jim Lyons. You've just heard we've made big news here on the Kuhner Report. He is now calling for House Minority Leader Brad Jones to step down. The number of Jones' office, if you want to call and let him know how you feel, 617-722-2100. 617-722-2100. Representative Lyons, amen, brother.
News at the top and bottom, talk in between.
And why won't anybody discuss this but me?
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.